where, and let me just back up a little bit, just to give you an idea. Many days I couldn't even walk to the bathroom. I had to urinate in, like bottles type of a thing because it was so hard for me to get up because I would like black out or, I would go unconscious. I felt just miserable. My heart would just start beating really fast. Um, and I was also had people come and they prayed for me for healing. I laid hands on me, and I believed for healing. I would feel the presence of the Lord really strong, but I just wasn't being healed. I just wasn't being healed, and so one afternoon, I'm not sure if I died or I went unconscious, but I had this encounter where I stood before the Lord, and He was sitting. I saw Jesus. I wasn't in another realm. Uh, I was standing before the Lord. The Lord was sitting. He had a book open, and He said, "I'm judging you." That was the first thing He said. He said, "I'm judging you," and then He said, "I'm cutting you off," and He said, "You are in danger of eternal condemnation." And there were some other things that were said. Some of the details I'm going to hold off on, but just to get to the nitty gritty. Um, and one of the things I said during this time, I said, "But Lord," I said, "what about all the good things that I've done? All the, the prayer, the intercession, seeking you daily, fighting, fighting over purity, trying to walk in purity." And I saw him like do this vomiting motion, and I realized, and instantly I knew I had this. It was like I was downloaded with this impression: you were lukewarm, you were Laodicean, you weren't on fire for me like you thought you were. Um, and I remember just being like, you know, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I then saw this. There's this there was this angelic spirit that was appeared, and he thrust a sword into my heart, and it felt like I was dying. It was like he did it twice, and like directly into my heart. I don't know what that was. He had like armor on, and he was very like warrior looking. I then felt myself like being pulled away, like separating from the Lord, and I felt like a distance from the Lord at this time. And there was this demonic spirit that appeared, and I remember this huge spirit. It had this very heavy presence. And then I looked down at my legs. My legs were like green, this like morbid looking green. Um, I don't know what that was, but it was just like I had this real strong sense of death. And then this demonic spirit looked at me and said, "I'm here to take you down to death," just like that. And then I started going down, and I felt my spirit leave my body, and I started to descend down. And it was just, they talk about um, following Christ, the peace that passes all understanding. This was like the fear that passes all understanding. It was just absolutely horrible. Um, it was just, I can't even explain it. Your mind can't even comprehend the fear. It, there's nowhere to run. There's nothing. You can't do anything. I mean, you're totally at the mercy of what's happening to you. And as I'm descending, I cried out to Jesus. I said, "Jesus, have mercy on me."
This little thing helped me more than my last therapy session. It's called the Pandy, a lifelike plush toy.
And as I'm descending, I cried out to Jesus. I said, "Jesus, have mercy on me." Uh, and all of a sudden, it was like I saw Jesus fly or like run to me, like in haste. And he put his arm around me immediately. And he looked at me, and I felt this love coming from him. And he said, "I love you." He said, "I want you to be where I am," just like that. "I love you. I want you to be where I am." And then immediately I came out of it, and I was back in my body, and I was healed. I was completely healed, and I was able to walk miles a day, and because that's something I did when I was well. And so I went from that from being completely bedridden to being able to walk miles a day. And so I'm just walking around in this Oh, and another thing that happened during the judgment that I didn't bring up that's important, before that happened, uh, Jesus stood up and he walked up to me and he touched my chest and he touched my head. And he said, "This is the baptism of fire." And I felt this burning sensation on my head, and I felt this burning sensation on my chest. And he did it twice. He said, "This is the baptism of fire." And then I went into the encounter, and then when I went down, and the Lord came and embraced me. But that's really important from what I've going through, what I've been through, and what I'm still going through. Um, that there's the baptism of fire element, and so I'm instantly healed. I'm out of it. I'm looking at my wife, and I was still under this tremendous fear of the Lord when I came out of this. I mean, I literally held on to my wife like pretty much every night, just like trembling. I was literally trembling, even though